Shalom Aleichem, Hebrew Torah 101. Name in this video, did the Masoretic scribes corrupt the biblical text? And when I say biblical text, here we're talking about Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 1. Now the claims that are being made by some of the Ummah of the Muslims is that the Masoretic scribes change the wording in Isaiah 42 from Ahmad to Ithmoch. So the claim is built off the Dead Sea Scrolls text, the Quran text where they found Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 1. And when they look at it for some strange reason, they see the name Ahmad there. And they're accusing the scribes of the Masoretes of changing it. All right, so let's see if that claim is true. All right, so here we have, I guess it's a Muslim page called AnsweringChristianity.com. And here they're dealing with a screenshot of Isaiah 42 and 1 from the Dead Sea Scrolls. And here we have Abdi Ithmocha. But here, for some strange reason, they're putting the word Ahmad or Ahmud. All right, this is what they see here. So let's actually see what this spells here. All right, so when we break this word down, all right, we're going to parse this word out. We're going to see that this aleph here, all right, this is our prefix letter. All right, first person common singular prefix. All right, so meaning I. And then we have the rest of our word here. Our three-letter root to this word is tav, mem, and kaf. The wav here is a letter vowel. I'll explain what that is in a sec. And then we have a hey here. This hey is acting as a cohortative due to the aleph here. So cohortative is always expressed in the first person common singular. So I will desire to do something. I want to do something. This is something that have a self-desire to do. All right, so we express that in the first person common singular cohortative or the first person common plural. Okay, so what about the wav? Let's discuss the wav. This is what they have on this website here as they falsely wrote. They said the letter wav can stand for any vowel. This is completely incorrect if you know anything about biblical Hebrew. Let's examine. Okay, so here we have letter vowels written with wav. All right, so a letter vowel, again, is a letter that's being used as a vowel, such as the wav, such as the yod. All right, so here we have what's called the holon wav. When we have the holon wav, the dot, the nakud is on top of the wav, and we pronounce that as the O class vowel. So this would say bo. And then we have the sharuk, is used as a U class vowel, meaning ruler, such as bu. So we have O type and U type dealing with the wav. So there's only two vowels that we can get with the wav, not any vowel. Okay, so before the Masoretes did what they did with the Masoretic text, as you can see, Proto-Masoretic texts such as the Dead Sea Scrolls, they weren't written with nakud markings. So we use something called letter vowels. So it's not that they're semi-vowels, they're letter vowels. Every manuscript will have letter vowels. Even the ones that have the nakud dots have letter vowels. So this was the wav, is only a letter vowel. And here, since this is a mem, and we know this is a holum now, this is ethmo. So now you're probably wondering, well, how are they getting ethmocha out of Ahmad? All right, we see there's no way possible that we can get Ahmad in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So the Dead Sea Scrolls does not, prove their claim whatsoever. It's far from it, actually. So in the Dead Sea Scrolls, we have aleph, tav, mem, wav, the letter vowel, kaf, and then a hey. Not aleph, het, mem, wav, dalet. Not ahmud, as they have it here. So now what we're looking at here is what we call the Masoretic text. All right, this text is derived from the Leningrad Codex, which is derived from the Aleppo Codex. All right, so these are the scribes they're accusing of changing the word to ethmoch from Ahmad. All right, so what they're doing here is they have the aleph, they keep the aleph, and then they say that the Masoretic scribes changed the het to a tav, and then they changed the kaf. They changed the dalit. I'm sorry, a dalit to a kaf. All right, this is not true at all. The kaf has a different characteristic than the tav. The tav flips off at the foot here, like a heel, and then the final kaf elongates to the bottom of the words. So the dalit stays on the same level as the other words, while the final form kaf drops to the bottom, as you see here. So we can't even confuse the final form kaf with the dalit. We can confuse a kaf with the hit with the tav, but here we see the difference. We see the leg here on the tav, and then we see the straight leg here on the kaf, on the hit. So this is what I was explaining just a second ago. You have the tav here in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the scribes made sure they put the leg kicked to the side, as I explained, to make the tav, which is different from the hit as they have here, which is more of a straight leg and it's closed. So what we have here is just a short form of spelling the word ethmocha as they have it in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's the same exact word. The only difference is the hey is missing here, and then you have the wav missing here. Otherwise, it's still pronounced the same exact way. Ethmochbo. I will support in him, not Ahmad in him. No, I will support him. So under scrutiny and evaluation, we see that all this is just a desperate claim that doesn't need to be made in the first place. You know, just learn a little bit of biblical Hebrew before you jump out on the internet and come up with claims such as, you know, the Dead Sea Scrolls saying Ahmad and the Masoretic scribes changing it to mean something else when they have the same exact word inside their own text. Shalom Aleichem.